All right, as the slide mentions, we have to first put this into standard form. So to do that, we could subtract x squared to get it on the right side, but then we deal with a negative x squared. We don't like to deal with that. So we can just subtract the x and subtract the 20 from both sides. Subtract x, subtract 20. So we're left with x squared minus x minus 20 equals 0. And now we can use the quadratic formula to solve this. So again, I'm going to write the quadratic formula down as we go. It's going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all that is divided by 2a. Yeah, I know it seems like a lot, but the more we get used to it, the more we write it, the better off we'll be, okay? So now I can identify my a is in front of here, my b is in front of here, and my c is this value. So looking a equals, since there's nothing there, it's not really nothing, it's a 1. My b is equal to negative 1, and my c is equal to negative 20. So I'm just now going to plug all these into my quadratic formula and get negative, since it's negative b, and this is already a negative, I could write out, negative 1, but these two negatives cancel each other out. So really, it just becomes a positive 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 20. Extend my radical all over 2 times a, which is 1. All right, so now I'm going to kind of simplify everything in my radicand. I'm going to get 1 plus or minus the square root of, well, this is 1. And then negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 20 gives me a positive 80, all divided by 2. And again, I can simplify this a little bit more. 1 plus or minus the square root of 81 all over 2. Oh, look, square root of 81. That's a nice number. X will equal 1 plus or minus 9 over 2. So my two equations become x equals 1 plus 9 over 2 and x equals 1 minus 9 over 2. So pretty much this becomes 10 over 2 or 5. And this becomes negative 8 over 2 or negative 4. So my two solutions are 5 and negative 4. Now, when you get whole numbers like that, chances are there was a shorter way to do this. And this is something that I'm going to get to later on in this lesson, and maybe not even until the second part of it. But if off to the side here, let's just look at our original equation here where we had, well, not original, the one that we had adapted, equaling 0. If I look at this, there's not an a value, it's 1. So let's try to see if there's a shorter way to do this. Let's see if we can factor this. So there are two values that multiply together to get negative 20, but add to get negative 1. What if I were to say x minus 5 and then x plus 4, that equals 0. And now I can solve using the zero product property. And I could say, well, x could be 5 here, and x could be negative 4 here. Oh, look, there's my solutions. All that work or all this work. Now, again, over here, I just wanted to show you how to use the quadratic formula, go through the process with some nice numbers. Even though you can use it, doesn't mean you always should. And that's, like I said, that's something I'm going to talk about later on in this lesson, maybe not until tomorrow. Factoring, always much quicker and easier.